Your Excellency the Governor, Speaker of the Mrs. Helen Patrick, Speaker of the Legislative Assembly, Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly, the Premier, Honorable Alden McLaughlin, Deputy Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Bernie Bush, Honorable Members of Cabinet, Honorable Members of the Legislative Assembly, Members of the 8th Youth Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, young men and women, good morning. I am pleased and excited to welcome you all to this 8th Youth Parliament of the Legislature of the Cayman Islands. As always, it was a pleasure to watch and assist our young parliamentarians with their preparation for today. I do believe that once again we will be amazed at the level of debate, impressed with their attention to and understanding of parliamentary procedures, and thrilled by the possibilities for the future demonstrated by our young people here today. Once again, our youth parliament has risen to the challenge, and whether they are debating the merits of Sunday trading or school mentoring programs, their commitment to positively impacting these islands remains clear, and they must be commended for the many sacrifices they have made to be here today. This year's Commonwealth Day theme is a young Commonwealth, and I encourage you to pay particular attention to the words of the Speaker of the Youth Parliament, the Honorable Henry Hill, when he addresses his youth parliament today. Mr. Hill and his colleagues continue to impress and raise the bar, and if they are representative of the future leadership of this country, I am happy to announce that when we as legislators vacate our seats here, that they will be filled by individuals who are more than capable of leading these islands into the future. In choosing their motions, the group has not failed to address issues which are particularly relevant to the Commonwealth theme, to society, and in particular to our young people. The members of the group have worked very hard and deserve to be congratulated for the efforts they have made, often at great personal sacrifice, and their commitment went even further as members of the legislature agreed to mentor them after school and during their free time. This gave our youth parliament an even closer look at the life of a parliamentarian, and I wish to thank my fellow legislators who participated. Since early January, the group has been meeting on Saturday mornings to prepare for their debates and to learn the relevant parliamentary procedures and rules. I must take a moment to acknowledge the Clerk of the Legislative Assembly, Mrs. Zena Marin-Chin, and her assistant, Mrs. Shiona Allinger, and their team for the many hours spent working with the Youth Parliament. Your commitment to excellence is reflected in the level of excellence that you have achieved. I also wish to thank and acknowledge the following: the Ministers and Deputy Governor and the Attorney General for taking the time to spend with the Youth Parliament to explain the work in their ministries. The Chief Officers in the ministries and portfolios where the youth parliamentarians shadowed. Cayman Airways for their sponsorship so that the students from Cayman Brac could attend on Saturdays. The parents and guardians who were responsible for bringing the youth parliament here each Saturday. And the persons who assisted the students with their debates, namely Dr. Dax Basteo, Mr. Norman Borden, Mr. Michael Miles, and Ms. Anita Cornish. We'd also like to thank Radio Cayman, whose broadcast of these proceedings will take place at 6 p.m. today, and to GIS for the live broadcast. We also wish to thank the many sponsors of the gift certificates and the sponsors who gave monetary contributions, namely Cayman National Bank, the Royal Bank of Canada, Dart Enterprises, Conyers, Dill and Pearman, ABS Trade and Commerce, and Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Thank you all. And thank you all for coming to show your support for our young people. Your presence here is warmly appreciated by these young people as it shows your concern for them and your willingness to give the one thing that we cannot afford to waste and never have enough of, your time. To our youth parliament, I offer my congratulations and commend you all for your hard work. Some of you have expressed concerns that the future was beginning to look bleak for our youth, that more needs to be done to ensure that you all have an opportunity to be your best and to become proud, productive, and effective leaders of the future. These concerns have not gone unnoticed or unheard. I encourage each and every one of you to continue to search your souls, discover your personal mission, find that one defining purpose that you have been put here on this planet to achieve, and pursue it with every ounce of your being. As Paulo Coelho states in his book, The Alchemist, it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting. Thank you all very much for being here today, and enjoy the proceedings.
Thank you, Councillor Suku. Pleasant good morning to our honourable members here in Parliament this morning, former members of Parliament, the honourable youth parliamentarians, public in general, and of course it would be remiss of me not to recognise my friend and former colleague, the former Speaker, the Honourable Mayor Lawrence, who thank you especially for being here this morning. Let me just do a little bit of housekeeping so that I don't have to be answering the same question. This morning I've answered probably 6 times already. This white occurrence in my nose isn't an overutilization of powder. I had a medical procedure this week and it's medication, so that should end that question for this morning. Having said that, I am extremely delighted once again to be here, not only as an observer, but an avid supporter of the embracement and indeed the optimism that we have in empowering our young parliamentarians here. Councillor Suku had the audacity for hope when he so eloquently articulated that not everything we read about young people is necessarily so. In fact, if we were just using most of our time on Facebook and on Instagram, we would probably be most dismal. But like Paul of old, we have much hope as we look on the landscape of the human faces here this morning who had an interest not only to be debaters in their respective schools, but wanted to take it a bit further and enter into these hollowed chambers. The chairs that you're sitting in this morning, as my friend from Easton, Mr. Arden, often refers it, is the people's real estate. It's not just an ordinary leather chair. It's a chair that represents the voice of the people for the respective areas that we have within the 3 beautiful Cayman Islands that we're privileged to call home. And in fact, it's within this hall that the genesis of debates is carried on the airwaves. And now with the advent of internet, indeed, the world has become a global village. Yes, we follow the Westminster style of democracy, and it will get adversarial, even this morning, as prepared as you may be, that we are all genetically encoded to defend our right of thought. And in fact, the framers of our Constitution thought that that was so significant that they took ample time and put it at the very front of our Constitution, the Bill of Rights. So today is not just another appearance for your school. It's just not another opportunity for individualism where you can show your dictum skills, you can articulate, and perhaps my good friend from Bodden Town would be happy to hear the repeat of his very regular usage of the words pontificate here in these honored chambers, but it's an opportunity for you to become active participant in this journey of democracy. In fact, it is not the perfect governance, as we find living even here with this, in this jurisdiction, but it's the best governance we found to date. And yes, we are now charged to carry out the mandate and try to appease the many, many different voices as they emanate from the various corners of our Cayman Islands. But today is your turn. All cameras, all ears, all eyes will be turned and tuned into you. It's your chance to be on the receiving end, to get a little taste of what it means to serve the public, and to be fully cognizant to realize that you cannot serve until you have an abundant sprinkling, in fact submersion of humility. And the best leader is a servant leader. So as you debate today, and as you make your mark in history, just don't let it terminate here. This welcome indeed, I challenge you to extend it onto tertiary education, to come back armed and equipped as a full able-bodied Caymanian, and I use that term very widely, without fear of contradiction, and come back to make this Cayman Islands that we all cherish so dearly a better democracy. So when the Premier and the Leader of the Opposition and myself find some time for a hammock somewhere to relax and reflect and recall and recollect, we can do so with tranquility and with the confidence that what many of us are striving to leave behind in this democratic circle, that we have able-bodied youth parliamentarians who have prepared themselves and who have a vested interest to continue the success that so much of the world looks and learns and wish to achieve. I want to especially thank your parents for instilling interest of country and giving that avid appreciation of self-preservation, but yet having that hunger to help your neighbor. And I'm sure you did much of that as you went through these hollowed chambers and you had your laughs and you had your frustration, and now you have your nervousness. But always remember that for you to shine, you must go through a struggle. And yours ain't that bad yet. And I use ain't quite purposely. Just wait until you become Premier. I thank you so very much for having an interest in our country, your country, and may this day be the beginning of a new Caymanian democracy where youths are indeed so encouraged that we'd see you in 2 years' time. I thank you for this opportunity.
Mr. Alvasuku, MLA and Chairman of the CPA Organizing Youth Committee, having established protocol. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Leader of the Opposition, who is unavoidably absent today, and other members of the opposition, I would like to congratulate you on having been chosen to participate in this, the 8th Youth Parliament of the Cayman Islands branch of the CPA. Councillor Suku has already spoken about Ms. Zina and Ms. Shiona. Last year was my first youth parliament, and I hardly missed it. This year, due to health and other commitments, I missed quite a bit of working with these young people, ladies and gentlemen, in the gallery and out there. But I can say to you that you have a wonderful day ahead if you all stay tuned in and listen to these young people. There are 2 topics to be discussed this year, and a speech to be made by the youth Speaker of the House will show you and show this country, show the Commonwealth and the world, there is no doubt at all, better people are coming behind in this set of young people here. We are here in a moment of history when ideals of basic humanity are threatened by intolerance and greed. We now have individuals and groups who are on a rampage to impose their interpretations using modern technology. No different than the Crusaders did 400 years ago using swords and spears. Income inequality and its effects are destroying the middle class, no different than feudalism created the classes and the classless. The Crusaders drove a Jewish people to the New World, and what was the result? A new lifeline, evidenced by multi-generational wealth and academic excellence. The potato famine and subsequent notorious Irish rebellion encouraged King James II and Oliver Cromwell to ship over 300,000 Irish people to the New World. And what happened? Today, we see those descendants become leaders who have shaped the world. Then the enslavement of African people. What happened? Establishment of the proud Maroons settling as free slaves in Jamaica in the 1600s. We saw Toussaint Louverture become the first black president in Haiti in 1800s. And now we see descendant of two sets of immigrants, white and black, become the president of the USA, the most powerful country in the world. So, youth parliamentarians, why that history and what it has taught us? It has taught us that we have an abiding willingness as people to live in a harmonious, functional, and equitable world. It has taught us that yesterday does not dictate our tomorrow. And a world that will ask you, the young parliamentarians of today, to be the leaders of tomorrow. The Commonwealth theme for 2015 is a young Commonwealth. And I would like to quote the Commonwealth Secretary General, Kamalesh Dharma, when he said, "What is a young Commonwealth?" And I quote, "A young Commonwealth recognizes the capacity, contribution, and potential of young people who play a vital role at the heart of sustainable development and democracy." End of quote. Today, you, the young people in these hallowed walls of this parliament, are all part and parcel of the young Commonwealth. You are the future leaders of our beloved islands, and I know many of you possess the skills, knowledge, and determination to make these islands a much better place than you have found them. As a diverse and increasingly interconnected generation through social media, you bring fresh ideas and perspectives to an ever-changing society and world. I challenge you then to embrace all the opportunities you have at your disposal in widening your horizons and becoming more involved in nation building. I encourage you all to become productive. Let me rephrase that. Continue to be productive, because right here where you are now shows you are productive. Continue to be hardworking, to be God-fearing young people who will always challenge the powers that be and challenge yourselves to become better. You all must continue to make contributions to this global and ever-changing village that we live in. We, the Cayman Islands, the Commonwealth, and the world need you to become transformative, humankind agents of tomorrow. May God bless you all, and may God bless the Cayman Islands.
Good morning, everyone. Although protocol has already been established, I want to take the opportunity to welcome to these chambers Her Excellency, and also to acknowledge the presence of the former Speaker, Mrs. Mary Lawrence, former member of the House, Ms. Lucille Seymour, and to thank the members and the ministers and members of the Legislative Assembly and of the Cabinet for taking the time to come and to demonstrate to these young people and to the country how important you believe this exercise is. I also want to thank for attendance Mr. Lemuel Hurston, a former Chief Secretary and Honorary Representative of the Royal Commonwealth Society, who is with us. I want to thank him as well for yesterday organizing, as they have done for many years in the past, a special ceremony to commemorate Commonwealth Day. For those of you who may not be aware, the second Monday in March is celebrated as Commonwealth Day. And for many years, the Anglican Church has held a special service to commemorate the start of the celebrations for Commonwealth Day. And yesterday, we had the privilege of having many young people participate in that ceremony, and I want to single out in particular the schools who participated, the Scouts Association for their usual great job, and the UCCI Choir for an outstanding job, and to thank Her Excellency as well, and Ministers Archer and Rivers in particular for taking the time out to attend. And at that ceremony, the Honorary Representative, Mr. Hurston, spoke on behalf of the Society, the Commonwealth Society, and Her Excellency delivered the message from Her Majesty the Queen. And I've been asked by the Speaker to read the message which was delivered yesterday by Her Excellency, the message from the Queen, before I give my remarks. And Her Majesty's message is this. One simple lesson from history is that when people come together to talk, to exchange ideas, and to develop common goals, wonderful things can happen. So many of the world's greatest technological and industrial achievements have begun as partnerships between families, countries, and even continents. But as we are often reminded, the opposite can also be true. When common goals fall apart, so does the exchange of ideas. And if people no longer trust or understand each other, the talking will stop soon too. In the Commonwealth, we are a group of 53 nations of dramatically different sizes and climates. But over the years, drawing on our shared history, we have seen and acted upon the huge advantages of mutual cooperation and understanding for the benefit of our countries and the people who live in them. Not only are there tremendous rewards for this cooperation, but through dialogue we protect ourselves against the dangers that can so easily arise from a failure to talk or to see the other's point of view. Indeed, it seems to me now that in the second decade of the 21st century, what we share through being members of the Commonwealth is more important and worthy of protection than perhaps at any other time in the Commonwealth's existence. We are guardians of a precious flame, and it is our duty not only to keep it burning brightly, but to keep it replenished for the decades ahead. With this in mind, I think it apt that on this day we celebrate a young Commonwealth and all that it has to offer. As a concept that is unique in human history, the Commonwealth can only flourish if its ideas and ideals continue to be young and fresh and relevant to all generations. The youthfulness and vitality that motivate our collective endeavors were seen in abundance last year in Glasgow. They will be seen again in a few months' time when young leaders from islands and continents gather to make new friendships and to work on exciting initiatives that can help to build a safer world for future generations. And last November in India, talented young scientists from universities and research institutes conferred with eminent professors and pioneers of discovery at the Commonwealth Science Conference, where together they shared thoughts on insights and inventions that promise a more sustainable future. These are stirring examples of what is meant by a young Commonwealth. It is a globally diverse and inclusive community that opens up new possibilities for development through trust and encouragement. Commonwealth Day provides each of us, as members of this worldwide family, with a chance to recommit ourselves to upholding the values of the Commonwealth Charter. It has the power to enrich us all, but just as importantly, in an uncertain world, it gives us a good reason to keep talking. Thus reads the message from Her Majesty the Queen. And now for my brief remarks. I am pleased to see that 25 students from government and private high schools, including Cayman, have worked together to ensure the success of this day and have gathered to engage in important lesson teaching discourse. As I've just said, the theme of this year's Commonwealth Day is a young Commonwealth. And so, young parliamentarians, as you deliberate your two motions, one on an amendment to the Sunday trading law and the other on a mentoring program in public high schools, you will be commemorating Commonwealth Day, which, as I indicated earlier, is celebrated annually on the second Monday in March. I was happy to have welcomed Leshonte Missick, who is serving today as Premier, Speaker of the House Henry Hill, and Opposition Leader Shaquille Henry, as they shadowed me at the Government Administration Building. Today, we actually have two past youth parliamentarians, Jamal Young and Amber Combe, representing Cayman at the Commonwealth celebration at Westminster in London. I know, and as I've indicated before, that the Commonwealth's 53 member countries have a combined population of more than 2 billion people, of which more than 60% are younger than age 30. This is a demographic that is certain to increase, which means we cannot have honest discussions about the future without taking into account young people's needs, aspirations, and challenges. This government, as well as the Commonwealth, sees young people as assets who should be empowered to realize their potential and contribute fully to national development. We need to do all we can to assist young people to help them understand political participation and parliamentary democracy through practical experience, through endeavors such as they will engage in today. It is incumbent on us as today's leaders and adults to give them the opportunity to acquire or improve on the many necessary skills required not only in running the affairs of state, but in daily commerce and indeed life, such as debate, presentation, public speaking, research, and organizational skills. Those skills are certain to be honed today when those of you who support Sunday trading go toe-to-toe with your detractors. I look forward to hearing your spirited debate on the subject. Thank you, Aquina E. Banks, the 4th elected member for West Bay, for moving the motion, and Michaela Cupid, the 1st elected member for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, for seconding it. Likewise, the Leader of Opposition and 1st elected member for Georgetown, Shaquille Henry, is to be commended for bringing forward his private member's motion for a mentoring program in public high schools. Danielle Williams, the 6th elected member for Georgetown, is set to second that motion. Thank you both. Again, I anticipate a lively debate and eagerly await the outcome. Through today's exercise, we will see that young people are empowered when they acknowledge that they have or can create choices in life, are aware of the implications of those choices, make informed decisions freely, take action based on those decisions, and accept responsibility for the consequences of those actions. And I promise you, there will always be consequences. The Commonwealth mission is to empower, engage, and create value so that young women and men can contribute to the economic, social, and cultural advancement of their families and countries, as well as their own fulfillment. It is a mission I wholeheartedly support. Today's theme of a young Commonwealth brings to mind a quote from former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, when he said, "No one is born a good citizen. No nation is born a democracy. Rather, both are processes that continue to evolve over a lifetime. Young people must be included from birth. A society that cuts off from its youth severs its lifeline." Unquote. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this 8th Youth Parliament on this Commonwealth Day 2015. I thank the many sponsors for their support of this propitious event. For the young people of our beloved Cayman Islands, I also wish to thank the CPA Cayman Islands branch and the dedicated subcommittee members and the youth parliamentarians, all of whom have worked extremely hard over the past few weeks preparing for today. And so it is now my distinct pleasure and privilege to turn over these distinguished chambers to this assembly of articulate and erudite young people from all across the Cayman Islands, and to declare the 8th Youth Parliament of the Cayman Islands officially open. Thank you.
This Honorable 8th Youth Parliament is now in session. Please be seated. I will ask the 4th elected member for Bodden Town to say prayers.
Let us pray. Almighty God, from whom all wisdom and power are derived, we beseech thee so to direct and prosper the deliberations of this 8th Youth Parliament of the Cayman Islands Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, now assembled, that all things may be ordered upon the best and surest foundation, for the glory of thy name and for the safety, honor, and welfare of the people of these islands. Bless our Sovereign Lady, Queen Elizabeth II, Philip, Duke of Edinburgh, Charles, Prince of Wales, and all the royal family. Give us grace to all who exercise authority in our Commonwealth, that peace and happiness, truth and justice, religion and piety may be established among us. Especially we pray for the youth parliamentarians participating in this youth parliament, that they may be enabled faithfully to perform the duties of their high office. All this we ask for thy great name's sake. Let us say the Lord's Prayer together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. The Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face shine upon us, and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon us, and give us peace, now and always. Amen.
Please be seated.
Reading of messages and announcements by the Speaker.
Before I proceed to the order of business, I crave the indulgence of this Honorable CPA 8th Youth Parliament to say a few words. It is a great honor and privilege to have been chosen as Speaker of the Legislative Assembly for this 8th Youth Parliament in our beloved Cayman Isles. The Commonwealth theme for this year is A Young Commonwealth. A young Commonwealth recognizes the capacity, contribution, and potential of young people who play a vital role at the heart of sustainable development and democracy. The message and theme could not be more fitting, and I am sure the honorable members of this youth parliament would also agree. I would like to take this time to congratulate you for all your hard work and effort you've all put in. Many hours you've spent researching and studying all for this one event. With this dedication, I see you are truly concerned and passionate about your debates today. And I'm honored to be among all of you, because the Caymanian youth today are going through difficult times. We are often seen as delinquents. We are said to not have the capacity and are subject to untrue generalizations. We are called lazy and unintelligent, and we are taught to be seen and not heard. What makes this most unbecoming is that we have all been labeled with these generalizations, and many people believe that it's okay to label the Caymanian youth in this manner. I ask you then, what does that say for the future of this country? What does that imply? Because as we grow and enter the work world, what exactly are we to expect from this new venture? Well, based on my observations and as a youth of the Cayman Islands, I would like to take this time as Speaker of this 8th Youth Parliament, and together with the members of this 8th Youth Parliament, to illustrate and show a united front to the Caymanian public that we do, as upcoming young leaders of the Cayman Islands, have something to offer. We will show beyond doubt that we are intelligent. We will illustrate and demonstrate that we are not lazy, And most importantly, we do not lack initiative. We, as young Caymanians, have what it takes to be strong, successful, young leaders who will strive to do whatever it takes to most definitely succeed. Because the real truth is that one day we will be the leaders of this great country and we will take our rightful place in this honorable house. This is a prestigious and privileged opportunity for us as leaders of the Cayman Islands to show our country, the country that we love so dearly, that our opinions are valid and that even though we are still growing as young adults, we are knowledgeable and we have a firm understanding of what we have to offer. Our opinions and thoughts are also valid, as we should also be heard and seen. We should be able to express our opinions in a respectful manner, as we were taught by our parents and forefathers. We are not just teenagers debating for recreational purposes. We too are concerned individuals, and we know about the issues that affect not only us, but also our country on a whole. We want to see change and enrichment to the fullest extent in our country, because we as young Caymanians love our beloved Cayman Islands more than we could ever express, as this is our future. So with that being said, and in closing, I would like to say, youth parliamentarians, take your place, take your time, use it wisely to show the Caymanian public who we are, because as young leaders, we have to stay vigilant. We have to illustrate to all what we are capable of. I would like to again take this opportunity to thank you all for not only taking the time to be here and share this moment with us, but also to wish the youth parliamentarians the best of luck in these debates. And I look forward to hearing them all. Thank you.
Other business motions. Private members motion number 1 of 2015. Amendment to the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision to be moved by the 4th elected member for West Bay.
I recognize the 4th elected member for West Bay.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move private member's motion number 1 of 2015, amendment to the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision, which reads as follows. Whereas prohibited day under the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision means a Sunday, Good Friday, or Christmas. And whereas a person shall not sell, expose for sale, or deliver goods any time on a prohibited day, and whoever contravenes this law is guilty of an offense. And whereas there has been an increase in the population and diversity of cultures in the Cayman Islands, which has resulted in an increase in the demand for consumer goods and services on all days, including Sundays. Be it now therefore resolved that the government considers amending the Sunday Trading Law to allow persons to acquire a Sunday trading license which would authorize trade and business on Sundays.
Private members motion number 1 of 2015, amendment to the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision has been duly moved. Is there a seconder to the motion? I recognize the 1st elected member for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to second the private member's motion number 1 of 2015 amendment to the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision.
The motion has been duly moved and seconded. Does the mover wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The current issue we have in the Cayman Islands regarding Sunday trading is that it limits the ability of one to act on their culture pertaining to its religious aspect. The Cayman Islands is majority Christian-based, but however there are many other religions present. This current Sunday trading law promotes religious inequality because it affects many other religions in the Cayman Islands. One of these religions happen to be Seventh-day Adventists. This law affects them in a very adverse manner. As such, they are limited to doing their errands on a Saturday, seeing as this is their worship day. This leaves Sunday to take care of their personal needs, which is prohibited because Sunday is seen as a holy day for Christians, and as a result of this, all shops are closed. Mr. Speaker, the other problem we currently have with Sunday trading is that it is also seen as a weekly holiday and used as a day to spend time with their family and or a day of rest. Also, by removing a weekly holiday can put an employee health at further risk as they may become overworked. Mr. Speaker, what we, the government, propose to do is to legalize Sunday trading, and by doing so would be a great benefit on the local economy. We propose to offer all businesses Sunday trading licenses, which would have to be renewed every year and at a cost of half the price of a trade and business license. This price varies depending on various factors such as amount of employees hired and size and square footage of these particular businesses. Shops would be allowed to be open from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. in order to include family time. However, this does not mean opening up a store on a Sunday is mandatory. Every store would have their own decision as to whether or not they would want to open up on this weekly holiday. There would also be a Sunday trading board implementing supervisors to oversee this happenings. There would be a requirement in the Sunday trading license to employ extra staff to work on a Sunday and have rotation shifts so that not one employee is being overworked. Failure in order to follow these regulations will cause the following consequences, also known as the 3-strike system. The first consequence would be a warning. The second consequence would be a fine of half the price of a Sunday trading license. The third consequence would be the business gets their trade and business license revoked for 3 months. Mr. Speaker, in the Cayman Islands' current Sunday trading law 2003 revision, prohibited day means a Sunday, Good Friday, or Christmas. A person shall not sell, offer, or expose for sale any goods, wear, or merchandise on a prohibited day. In Section 6, there are 20 premises allowed to be open on these prohibited days. However, this law shall not apply to the premises specified in the schedule. Whoever contravenes this law is guilty of offense and liable on summary conviction to a fine of $500 for a first conviction and to a fine of $1,000 or to imprisonment for 6 months for a second or subsequent conviction. Now, Mr. Speaker, my colleagues will further analyze this motion.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We, the government, feel as though amending the Sunday trading law to allow persons to acquire a Sunday trading license, which authorizes trade and business on Sundays, would be convenient to the residents of the Cayman Islands. At present, places such as restaurants, hotels, rental car agencies, and establishments concerned in water sports or sightseeing attractions are allowed to be open on a Sunday. Whereas these places may be used by residents, they are aimed more towards the convenience of tourists. By amending this law, the government strives to increase the convenience for purchasing consumer goods for residents of these islands. This goal has been established because of the increase in population and diversity of cultures within the Cayman Islands, which has resulted in an increase in the demand for consumer goods and services. Amending this law improves consumer choice by having access to the same variety of goods each day of the week. In this way, we are also modernizing the Cayman Islands by keeping up with the Sunday trading trend as our counterparts in the United Kingdom. The government is aware of the smaller shops that are currently operating illegally on Sunday. Those against this amendment would say that these smaller shops would lose out to competition from the larger stores, because on Sundays are when they make their most business. But the matter of the fact is, Mr. Speaker, these stores are operating illegally. and this amendment helps level the playing field to allow competition between all retailers on a Sunday, and competition increases quality. A higher level of competition in the domestic market brings efficiency gains and lowers prices. As prices fall, consumer power increases in a variety of sectors, leading to job creation. Also, we do not believe that they will lose out because of the relationship that small businesses have created with their customers over the years. There will still be some residents who prefer to shop at smaller stores because it's closer to their home, the larger stores don't sell the same product, or just because it's what they're used to, the relationship, as mentioned before. This amendment allows businesses to have extended opening hours, which affords more time to individuals in order to make their choices and avoid peak shopping hours. Some people presently work from Monday to Saturday, so this means they are forced to do their shopping either before work or after a long day at work. Sunday trading gives them the opportunity to finish work on a Saturday, get some sleep, and do their shopping on a Sunday. This increased choice to shop on a Sunday facilitates more flexibility for people's schedules. Opening stores on a Sunday, for example, Foster's, will decrease the number of people who shop on a Friday night and Saturday morning, which are the peak shopping times for consumers. Giving residents this extra day should reduce the density of people within these hours. The opposition may also say that there is a potential that operating on a Sunday will increase variable costs for retailers, and that it is not necessarily the case that the increase in costs will be outweighed by an increase in revenue. However, Mr. Speaker, this is why a Sunday trading license is not obligatory, and it is important for the public to bear this in mind. The government is not forcing any business to open on a Sunday. We are merely giving them the option. If opening on a Sunday is doing more bad to your business than good, then the license can be withdrawn. However, it is predicted that if managed in the right way, as in controlling the number of employees that work on a Sunday, revenue will increase. In 2006, the quantified benefits to the economy for full liberalization of Sunday trading were estimated to be £20.3 billion over 20 years. And previous reforms have shown that liberalization increases sales. A prime example is the London 2012 Olympics, when, in an attempt to encourage further tourist spending, the government suspended trading laws for 8 consecutive weeks. The results for September 2012 showed an increase in 3.2% in retail compared to 1.6% the following months when restrictions were put back into place. Although there were more people in the country at this time, this shows that people will shop on a Sunday. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that Sunday is kept as a day for family activities in most homes, and I am sure that a fair schedule could be worked out between employer and employee so that no one has to work more than one Sunday for each month. Also, because of the time regulations on the license, there will still be time left over in the day to spend with family members. For those employees working on Sundays, Sunday wages usually carry an increased rate of pay. This can be an important income source for those who struggle to get enough hours during the week, and also create other job opportunities that my colleagues will elaborate on. So yes, Sundays are held by some as a day of rest to spend with family, but this amendment won't change that entirely, Mr. Speaker. If anything, this amendment will result in more ways for family members to spend their Sunday evenings together. Again, helping to reach the goal of increasing convenience for the residents in the Cayman Islands. Having stores open on a Sunday is also convenient when people have emergencies. What if something happens or gets broken in your home late Saturday night or on Sunday morning? You'll have to wait until Monday to get it fixed. If the stores are open on a Sunday, you can get it fixed right away. With the advances in technology, many people now shop online on Sunday anyway, so Sunday trading is taking place even if it's from the comfort of your own home. The opposition will try to paint a picture of Sunday trading as an idea that will disrupt families, tradition, and negatively affect the economy. Although with any laws there are pros and cons, I can assure you that the pros are not to this extreme, Mr. Speaker. This amendment is about meeting the demands of the growing diverse community in the Cayman Islands. It gives them freedom of choice to shop at their convenience and will move the Cayman Islands forward in the same direction as modern developed countries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the elected member for North Side.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to express my opinion on the motion before this Honorable Youth Parliament. I consider it unnecessary for any amendments to the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision for the following reasons. I have listened with much anticipation and interest while trying to analyze precisely what the government is proposing with regards to the motion that was just presented to the House. I have also read in the consultation paper that was put out for public feedback from the Ministry of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment on the 1st of August 2014. In this paper, the government raised several reasons as to why they support Sunday trading. However, whilst there may be some logical and feasible explanations within the overview of this paper, my perception is that the government is still not looking outside the box realistically. Now, Mr. Speaker, seemingly the government's proposal is intended to encourage economic activity, provide local support for commerce, and positively impact employment opportunities. Their strategy is that in this modern era, it is generally recognized that the social and economic landscape have evolved significantly since the UK order in 1964 and local legislation in 1986. Therefore, their argument put forward is that many countries, including the UK, overseas territories, and crown dependencies have undergone several revisions of policies dealing with the restrictions on Sunday trading. They have also said that the Sunday trading regime has been debated for several years. That leads me to say that everything they have put forward in this proposal seems feasible and fair, but will it be in the best interests of businesses in the Cayman Islands and the local population? Mr. Speaker, one of the driving forces behind the government is the Chamber of Commerce, indicating their views as to why the status quo should be changed. Inclusive in their reasons for the status quo being changed, there are many public surveys. However, when studying those particular surveys, they are found to be contradictory. More persons supported all businesses to be open on Sundays than those who did not give the support. The other question asked was, if all businesses were permitted to be open on Sunday, would you open your business? The answer to the survey, in my opinion, came from the business people themselves, of whom the majority said they would not open. Therefore, it is obvious that even if the government passed the proposed motion, according to those who supported whether or not they would open, there is a great possibility that most of them will not open. So, is it really necessary for the government to go through the process of passing such a piece of legislation when some business owners feel that way? Mr. Speaker, if we were to go back a bit in time and reflect on the hazards on the 7th and 10th of March 1986, we see that there was an amendment to the Sunday Trading Law. This particular amendment was brought to the floor of the Assembly because some felt the need for a bit of change to accommodate mostly the tourists and to some degree our own people. Many members spoke to the fact that traditionally Sunday was a day of rest and worship. The words, as was stated by one of our political forefathers, are words to live by when he said, and I quote, "We must observe and continue to observe Sunday as a religious day, because whatever our thoughts may be about society, our own lives, without the Christian heritage in us, without continuing to support a religious tradition within our society, we are going to be in a serious problem." Mr. Speaker, as advocated in the very same hazards, the amendment was designed to regularize the situation in order to allow those businesses generally considered essential to tourism, as well as to provide limited services to the general public to trade legally, but at the same time to prevent any further large-scale escalation of business activities on Sundays. So, we see here that the idea then was not meant for the same thing the government is trying to legislate today. Mr. Speaker, I've heard many stories, but through stories told to me by my grandparents and my parents, the fact is, Sunday was all about going to church, home to rest, and having quality family time. So, they sacrificed and learned to live with what they had on a Sunday. I'm not saying that we have to go back to exactly what was then, but I must say that I'm not hearing many complaints as to the way the things are now in the present schedule of the Sunday Trading Law. Having said that, it is not just about what should or should not be done on Sunday, but it also is about what would transpire otherwise, as there may be many other negative impacts involved, including but not limited to additional wages and overheads incurred by the merchants could be passed on to the consumer. More trading hours on Sunday is no guarantee of economic benefits, and merchants may find that profits versus overhead may not be at all worth the time. Mr. Speaker, we need to get past the perception that we always have to please others before pleasing ourselves by adopting the practices of other countries. We are our own identity, and we have morals and values to live by, which in my opinion are valued more than what any Cayman dollar bill is valued. I therefore cannot support the proposed motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Okay. I recognize the first elected member of Cayman-Brackendale, Cayman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the private member's motion number 1. After careful consideration, the government has decided that passing this motion would be to create a positive impact on the Cayman Islands because of the many advantages that come with Sunday trading. One of these benefits would be creating more job opportunities, therefore increasing employment for young people as well as adults who are unable to work normal hours. This would provide convenience for youth who are in college and are in need of revenue, since there are now jobs that accommodate their busy schedules. Also, from an employee perspective, increased pay is a benefit because this would then increase the standard of living because persons would have extra money. Business confidence. Sunday trading can boost business confidence because not all stores will apply for the license to open on a Sunday, and even with large stores opening, you will see if you have loyal customers. Most persons won't necessarily opt for large supermarkets if it's farther away from them. Also, people are more comfortable with purchasing from relatively smaller stores, and the argument that will be brought is that smaller stores will lose business. But with the 2 points I have previously mentioned, not all small stores will lose all of their business or have to close down. Choice and convenience for shoppers. Many families have other things to do on Saturdays, such as sports and other activities that take up valuable time. Hence, this would benefit those persons who don't have time on Saturdays to shop. Also, creating choice as when people want to shop. This could create productivity because persons who have errands to run on Saturdays would shop on Sundays. Beneficial to tourists. When tourists come to the Cayman Islands, they look for a relaxing, peaceful getaway. They look for something different, but still would like to be able to come on a trip and shop on a Sunday. Tourists that come by cruise come to town and vendors are closed, so they basically spend all of their time walking and waiting to go back on the boats. And no revenue is made. With stores not being open, this could lead to some tourists saying they don't want to come because there's nothing to do on a Sunday. A stronger economy. More convenient shopping hours and more choice of goods and services would increase the economy. Stores would be bringing in more income, which would boost the economy. Many businesses lose out on extra income. For example, fast food giant Chick-fil-A estimates it loses more than $47 million per year because it closes its stores on Sunday to observe the owner's Christian values. Also, countries have hailed success with Sunday trading. Sunday trading has been hailed a success with claims it has helped West Australians spend an extra $322 a year, or an extra $6.20 per week. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Minister of Planning.
I rise in support of this motion in respect to the Sunday trading law. Mr. Speaker, a major opposing point to the allowance of Sunday trading is often one blinded by personal religious beliefs. While people mention their own religious beliefs, they often disregard the religious beliefs of others within their society. In the last few decades, the Cayman Islands has been identified as a melting pot of cultures and various beliefs and values.
According to Britannica 2005, religion is defined as human beings' relation to that which they regard as holy, sacred, spiritual, or divine. According to the results from the Cayman Islands 2010 census, there are over 15 religious denominations present within our islands. 9 of these largest religious denominations are all subgroups of the Christian religion. The Christian population in the Cayman Islands makes up nearly 78% of the entire Cayman population. Mr. Speaker, it should be well known by anyone here in this honorable House that these islands have a very large Christian population without me having to spell it out word for word. Due to this large and increasing Christian population, Cayman has been heavily regarded as a Christian society. Most of this Christian population tends to see Sundays as a day of worship or a day of rest outside of their usual going to church, with the exemption of Seventh-day Adventists who typically worship on a Saturday. I do understand that the Christian religion has almost become a part of tradition in Cayman. However, Mr. Speaker, even though it is not necessary to follow along with the decisions that the rest of the world makes, living in our modernized 2015 society and our ever-growing community, we must learn to evolve along with the rest of humanity. If we refuse to do so, we might as well go back to being the little island that time forgot. By this, I mean to not only be tolerant of the differences of other people, but to show appreciation and acceptance. In doing so, we'll bring more meaning to this melting pot idea of our islands. Mr. Speaker, we live in a day and age where war has been waged because religious groups have decided that their religion is the sole true religion on this earth and refuse to be tolerant, much less accepting of the beliefs of others. Mr. Speaker, the opposition may wish to argue that such a drastic change could mean an upset in the lives of families in the sense that its primary members would be less involved in the home, there would be less time for people to come together and worship as a family, or that moral and spiritual values will be lost. I'm not saying that these points are invalid. However, I do believe that they're very one-sided. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, there is a fairly large portion of the population who regularly struggles to get by or lives paycheck to paycheck. Allowing people to work one more day, if they so desire, to gain an extra few dollars to support them and their families is not going to cause any harm to our little old Cayman society. Secondly, this law is not forcing any person who does not wish to open their store on a Saturday to do so, and will protect workers who don't want to work on a Sunday. Therefore, if a person sees that worshiping on a Sunday or having the day off is of the utmost importance, then they are free to do so without penalization. Thirdly, one of the main purposes of this motion is for the equality of all religious groups, so that people are allowed to work as they wish and not around what I would like to call a Christian-based schedule. Mr. Speaker, even though the Cayman Islands are traditionally a Christian society, this does not mean that every person shares all of the same values. There are also people who, although they believe, do not keep Sunday holy. It's just another day. They do not stay home and rest, or they'll go to the beach, or they'll go and party. This goes for every religion in the world. However, in a society that's filled to the brim with all sorts of people from different backgrounds, cultures, mindsets, it's very easy to lose ourselves in judging one another for things that we know nothing about. The biggest impact that this motion will have on our nation is to mold our community into a place where we can be unified and act as one. Nowadays, values such as loving oneself and treating others with the same respect that you wish to receive should be basic common sense and not the value of a single religion, but the value of every living being. It's about time that we as a nation up the ante against religious intolerance. We are in a serious state of affairs, and if our children are not handed some values on a plate that'll help them through some of life's hardest struggles, then we are serving absolutely no real purpose in this room today. Mr. Speaker, to reiterate, in a country that has taken on the idea of being a melting pot, this motion will help to convey this identity. This motion is not forcing any person to work or business to open, but will provide the opportunity for those employees who want to earn more revenue to do so. We, the leaders of this nation, see it as our duty to back up this statement by putting forward this Sunday trading motion in support of religious equality, thus attempting to make a change that will leave a lasting impression on our generations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the 5th elected member for Georgetown.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The government has put forward this impulsive motion based on theoretical benefits. Now, benefits may or may not happen, but what we are sure of is that Sunday will be taken as just another day of the week to get things done. Now, Mr. Speaker, let's be realistic. You have 6 days in the week, right? And you want to include another one. So you're trying to tell me, is the government trying to tell me that you can't buy chicken on a Monday? You can't go to the pharmacy on a Tuesday? You can't go, you know what I mean? So, Mr. Speaker, we, the opposition, are looking at it from a smaller standpoint. And the government is failing to recognize the impact that this will have on families. Yes, the minister previously said, it can be used to gain money. But my mother is a civil servant, and I won't brag. When she has that one Saturday to spend her time with me, it really makes me feel important as a teenager and an individual. So I don't necessarily see the point of having another day. Yes, there might be some people who can't afford to support their family, but the government does have departments like social services, I believe. Yeah? Mr. Speaker, in the 2010 census, it states that there's a high percentage of single families in the Cayman Islands. Now, why would the government want to take away another day where parents could spend time with their children? For example, that life is just basically going from work to home. And when our children are going to see him or her, is the parent going to be there to supervise homework and hear the day-to-day problems of that teenager? They may look like minor problems compared to the other points previously stated, but they are significant to the family dynamics. Example, is the person going to start drinking? Is the parent going to start drinking with all this overload of work, pressure? You know what I mean? Or is this person going to end up in the hospital? Did the government take into consideration the financial difficulties this passing of this motion would cause for single parents? Did the government review the polls on what this would cause? Mr. Speaker, I can't answer that. The government has to answer that question. Now, there will be more trading hours on Sunday, but there is no guarantee of economic benefits. The same number of people and amount of money spent over 7 days instead of 6 will do nothing drastic to boost the economy. Yes, it would increase employment, but at the expense of who? The Caymanian people, Mr. Speaker, and the government didn't reiterate who they would be hiring. Or is it Cayman, is it going to be hiring? Or is it going to be expatriates? Workers who are desperate for extra income will more likely be willing to work more hours to the detriment of themselves and their families. Mr. Speaker, the list goes on, and when comparing the negative effects to the positive, we, the opposition, feel the negative effects to the positive. We, the opposition, feel that the negative will outweigh the positive. Maybe not in terms of quantity, but definitely in regards to quality of life, values, and morals, and eventually to the prosperity of the Cayman Islands. Mr. Speaker, I will end by saying, why are we trying to fix what is not broken? And why are we trying to sell our Sundays for $1? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Minister of Financial Services.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to offer my contribution to private members' motion number 1, which has been brought to this honorable House by the government backbench. Mr. Speaker, I believe it is vital for this motion to be passed due to Cayman Islands' advancing social and economic environment. With any law, there's a need for regulations to ensure the law's proper enforcement and execution. Currently in the Cayman Islands, there's a serious issue with various businesses, retail stores in particular, in terms of the goods and services they're currently offering on a Sunday. Like a trade and business license, the government proposes that businesses purchase a Sunday trading license in order to lobby their services on a Sunday. The Sunday trading law is currently not being implemented properly, for police officers, lawyers, and even governmental officials are all going to businesses on a Sunday and purchasing items that are not sanctioned. Call it what you may, but it's an illegal act. Mr. Speaker, unlike the trade and business license, businesses are not forced to purchase a Sunday trading license in order to operate, but merely have the choice if they see the need for it. The companies that are currently operating on a Sunday would not be required to purchase a license in order for them to continue their operations on a Sunday. Businesses can also terminate their Sunday trading license if they so desire, but the termination of the license would mean they would have to repeat the entire application process if they happen to acquire a license at later times. In terms of cost, to purchase the Sunday trading license would not cause any serious financial strain on the company. The price of the Sunday trading license will vary depending on the services or goods offered by the business and the amount of employees they have hired. Mr. Speaker, another factor that would be involved with determining the cost of the Sunday trading license would be the size and square footage of those interested businesses and companies. This system of establishing cost is the same that is used to determine the cost for a trade and business license. The cost of the Sunday trading license would be approximately 1/2 of the cost of a trade and business license for that particular business. For example, according to the Trade and Business License Law 2007 revision, accountancy firms are currently required to pay a total of $400,000 for a trade and business license if they have over 50 accountants and other professional personnel hired at their firm. That accountancy firm would be required to pay approximately $200,000 for a Sunday trading license if they require one. Retailers are currently required to pay $4,000 for a trade and business license if their business is within 2,001 and 4,000 square feet. Those retailers falling within this criteria would only have to pay a total of $2,000 if they wish to acquire a Sunday trading license. Though retailers are currently allowed to operate on a Sunday, as I said before, they are only authorized to trade certain goods. But with the license, they can now sell all goods that they offer for sale. The Department of Commerce and Investment, also known as the DCI, would be the source of all information regarding the Sunday trading license and where businesses and companies would submit all documents needed to obtain or renew their Sunday trading license. In order to still provide the family time that employees so require, the Sunday trading license will also have a set time period in which these businesses are permitted to operate. From 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., all enterprises that have purchased a Sunday trading license can only operate within this time period. If found operating out of these times, they are then eligible to have their Sunday trading license revoked for not complying with the guidelines the license entails. With a Sunday trading license, the government also proposes to implement a Sunday trading board. This board would be the body of individuals who would govern all activity in regards to the Sunday trading license. The board would consist of one chairperson, a deputy chairperson, a secretary, and 7 general members, making a total of 10 members. All applications for a Sunday trading license, also known as grants, and all renewals of the license would be sent to the board for reviewing and approval. These grants and renewals would all be given to the board from the DCI. Not only would this board be responsible for approving both grants and renewals, but also to ensure that all businesses and companies are adhering to the regulations that coincide with the Sunday trading license. Not only would the DCI be responsible for processing grants and renewals, but they would also keep track of all businesses whose license has expired. A monthly report of all companies with these expired licenses would be generated and given to the board. This report would be one of the foremost means of keeping track of the Sunday trading license. Upon my visit to the DCI, Mr. Speaker, I saw the current need for more staff. Due to the possible addition of labor, Added on top of DCI's current hectic and active schedule, there will be a need for more employees to ensure that the public is being dealt with in a timely fashion. Therefore, there will be an increase in jobs and more employees would be needed to fill these open positions. Mr. Speaker, the implementation of the Sunday trading license will not only create jobs, but also bring in more revenue for the government, a win-win situation. But as with any opportunity comes a consequence if the rules are not properly adhered to. At the DCI, there will also be 2 enforcement officers who would go to the various businesses to ensure that they're operating in good faith in respect to their Sunday trading license. These enforcement officers will also act on any complaints brought to them by the general public in association with the business and their Sunday trading license, whether they are operating without one or on an expired Sunday trading license. Within the board, all members will have the authority to act as enforcement officers as well. They will have the power to approach businesses and question the validness of their license if they see appropriate. The general public can also approach these enforcement officers and inform them of any businesses they think or know who are conducting business without a license. Constables will also have the authority to approach any business or company they suspect of operating outside of their legal abilities. Again, whether it be without a Sunday trading license or with an expired license. Mr. Speaker, all businesses and companies that have purchased a Sunday trading license will be obligated to comply with the guidelines the license entails. The government has created a 3-strike system to ensure that all companies and businesses are adhering to these guidelines. Bear in mind, this strike system does not affect any business whose trade and business license validates their operation on a Sunday. Strike 1. Businesses or companies that are found operating without a Sunday trading license or on an expired Sunday trading license will be issued an official letter of warning informing them that they have been identified by an enforcement officer or constable to have been operating out of good faith. This letter will also inform them of the following consequences if their actions persist. The enforcement officer will be obligated to conduct a formal checkup within a 2-week period to this business and assure they are now operating in good faith. Strike 2. If an enforcement officer happens to discover that a business has still been operating without the valid documents on a Sunday, they'll be issued another letter informing them of a fine that they will be required by law to pay. This fine will be approximately half of what their Sunday trading license would be. Strike 3. If the business persists with their operation without a Sunday trading license or again with an expired license, they will have their trade and business license revoked for a period of 3 months. Though this may seem harsh, we feel that this is the only necessary way to ensure that the law is being followed correctly. After this 3-month period, the business can continue their operations once again. We hope that by at least a second try, Mr. Speaker, these particular businesses will not proceed with their activities and actions and will not be eligible for the 3rd strike. The government backbench has meticulously forged all of these regulations in hopes of once again controlling the operations of businesses and companies because currently many merchants, retailers, and various other traders are disregarding the law. With the amendment of this law, we can reinforce the Cayman Islands' position in the world's ever-advancing global community. Therefore, it is vital for the Sunday trading law to be amended. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, having heard my fellow partners, the elected member of Northside and the 5th elected member of Georgetown, allow me to say, it is without a doubt that the Sunday trading law was created with a Christian mindset. And we, the opposition, acknowledge the inevitable growth our country has had since the implementation of this law. But we know we all as people now treat Sunday as more than just a day of worship. Having Sunday as a regular day of work makes you question, when will families get to spend time together? As my colleague stated, there are 6 days in the week to get pressing things done. 6 entire days when people are constantly working. There are only 24 hours until Monday when shops will be open bright and early for your convenience. And if not, there are small convenience stores that are currently open on a Sunday. They mention the presence of other cultures and other religions, and yes, we do acknowledge their presence. We do respect their beliefs. We are not disagreeing with this proposal simply because Cayman is a historically Christian community, which, yes, is a major factor, but not the only one. The government is trying to help businesses, and that's fine. But they are risking our Caymanian culture by doing so. And by the looks of it, the further changes to the Sunday trading law most likely will negatively impact the Caymanian culture. The practice of families gathering on Sundays for lunch could become a thing of the past. After all, it is written in our very own Constitution, Order 2009. We as a country are a community protective of traditional Caymanian heritage and the family unit. Who cares if you have a Tuesday off or a Wednesday off? When your husband and children are at work and school, it doesn't matter whether you have that Tuesday or Wednesday off. People need a shared day off, and that's what Sunday is about. Holding Sunday as a special day for recreation, family time, or even religious observance is definitely an important part of the Cayman Islands, which I believe is certainly worth keeping. I don't know what comes to all of your minds when you hear the word Sunday, but to me, I think going for a drive with your family, going to the beach, going to church, or even watching TV. I certainly do not think of hustling and bustling, or even of traffic production and all the hype. Sure, if that's what you think it's about, that's great. Support it, because that's what the government is opting for by proposing we allow Sunday trading to impose upon our lifestyles. To think about it, let's all sit back and watch what becomes of our little island that's being steadily corrupted by the way of other countries. Right now, are you currently aware of Cayman's population? As of 2013, the population in the Cayman Islands was 58,435 residents. It is easy to say, well, it worked in countries like England or the United States. And as of 2011, the population of England was 53.1 million. That number alone says a lot. When you stop to think of it, forget half. We're not even a quarter or an eighth of that in population. Those countries have Sunday trading because they have millions of people to serve and millions of people to share the workload. So, why are we trying to change our little island into something it isn't? Now, I come to say, do you think the people over on the government bench will have to work on a Sunday? Because I can guarantee you, they will still have their normal Monday to Friday work. They won't be directly affected at all. They won't have to put in the labor. It's the middle-class families that will have to work. Mr. Speaker, many people come here from their homeland to make money for their families and to find better opportunities to start a new life. They may come here not knowing that we have a law that prohibits certain trade on Sundays, but they quickly adapt. They adapt out of respect for our local way of life. And if they don't like it, well, they leave. They are not asking us to change our ways. Even the tourists who come here for our island feel. Wherever they may be coming from, most likely already has Sunday trading. So, if tourists are one of the big aims from benefiting from this, scratch that. Because I think having Sundays as we do now only gives our tourists that much more time to enjoy our island without all the chaos and traffic during the work week. Mr. Speaker, allow me to end this by quoting the highest law in the land, the Cayman Islands Constitution, Order 2009. The people of the Cayman Islands recalling the events that have shaped their history and made them what they are, and acknowledging their distinct history, culture, and Christian heritage, and its enduring influence and contribution in shaping the spiritual, moral, and social values that have guided their development and brought peace, prosperity, and stability to those islands through the vision forbearance, and leadership of their people, which clearly states the importance of retaining the Christian values on the Cayman society which were founded. Therefore, as my colleague said before, why are we trying to fix what isn't broken? We as the opposition strongly believe that our Sundays can remain how it stands at the moment. But if there truly is a need of altering Sundays, we can surely allow convenience stores that are open on Sundays at the moment to be open legally, which without a doubt can and has sufficed all the needs of the community. Mr. Speaker, I would not want my Sunday, my freedom, ripped from me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Okay. I recognize the Honorable Deputy Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sunday trading is often a debated topic in Cayman. It has many benefits that should be discussed. These benefits would: 1. Help Cayman appreciate the diversity in cultures and religions. 2. Allow for consumer convenience and welfare. 3. Encourage economic activity. 4. Bring Cayman in line with the current global, social, and economic landscape. The present Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision does not allow for these benefits to flourish. Cayman is governed by democratic principles. One of the basic tenets of democracy is that constitutional ideas, though not replaceable, should be flexible to allow for growth and development of the society it governs. It is based on these principles that we can look at altering our current Sunday trading laws. Culture and religion. Religion is an integral part of Caymanian heritage. In fact, our forefathers chose our national motto from Psalm chapter 24, verse 2. He hath founded it upon the seas. The 2010 census has shown that there are several religions in the Cayman Islands, the chief of which remains Christianity. Democracy has a basic principle: majority rule, minority rights. It was a French Enlightenment thinker, Alexis de Tocqueville, who said, "While it is clear that democracy must guarantee the expression of popular will through majority rule, it is equally clear that it must guarantee that the majority will not abuse or use its power to violate the basic and inalienable rights of the minority." With the present Sunday trading laws, Mr. Speaker, we are doing just that. One may say that religion is a choice, and choices do come with consequences. It does not matter, Mr. Speaker, to the minority. We are still doing just that. As long as the majority takes away the rights of the minority, we are violating what a democracy is. Consumer convenience and welfare. The customer has the right to shop when or where he chooses. That right is an inalienable one under the law. The Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision denies him of this fundamental right. This right needs to be returned to the consumer, Mr. Speaker. Extended opening hours would correct this injustice. Nothing or no one should be above the law, Mr. Speaker. The only attribute that can supersede the law is mercy. It is therefore incumbent on the Christian majority, whose fundamental aspect of their religion is based on mercy, to rectify the injustice that has been done to this minority group. Economic activity. The country is currently coming out of a recession. Even the large supermarkets are being hit by competition from the internet, people buying online. Longer opening hours could mean more money in the tills. increased job creations in the lower socioeconomic group, greater opportunity for people already employed to increase their earning, thus indirectly increase revenue for the government. The opening of stores on a Sunday allows competition between all retailers, which always stimulates economic activity. It has been said, Mr. Speaker, that extended trading hours will decrease the time workers will spend with family. This may be true, but it should also be noted that it's not necessarily the quantity of time spent with family which determines the child's future, but also the quality of time and life the child has. Economists describe these expenditures as inputs for producing child quality. A recent research by Nobel Prize-winning economist Gary Becker's theory on household production showed that household budgets, which of course are affected by parents' employment, constrain or support the investments parents make in their children's future. Additional income can be used to provide a higher quality of nutrition and health care, the safety of their physical surroundings, and educational opportunities. Many professionals, such as lawyers, accountants, and emergency services, have had to work long hours due to their career. Their incomes may be more, but they lose time with families. However, how far their children go in life are seen to be statistically greater due to the parents' investments in their child's future. Why then should we deprive a parent in the lower socioeconomic group the opportunity to learn more, educate their children well, giving them a better chance in life? It also can be noted in Cayman, there is a large group of people who are obese. Obesity has been seen to be linked with the lower socioeconomic group because they are unable to pay for healthier food options. Why are we restricting them and giving their families a healthier life, increasing their risk of obesity and chronic medical disorders, thus affecting the expenditure of our government through the health services? This motion, if passed, can increase government's revenue as companies will need to apply for a license and a renewal each year to be modeled as a percentage after the trade and business license. The need for businesses to purchase permits for workers. Tourists having access to all shops on Sunday when in port. We foresee this being so successful, the government will create a trade and license board to monitor compliance with the law and to protect workers' rights from abuse by large corporate companies. Mr. Speaker, Sunday trading reflects the movement towards positive rights, the allowance of all cultural participation. The law is in place to reflect public will. When asked in a local survey by Cayman Compass, 2/3 are willing to open on a Sunday for Sunday trading. Then it is only the job of us here today to seek out a compromise passing this motion, another fundamental basis of democracy. In summary, Mr. Speaker, I call upon you not to forget or ignore, but think clearly and boldly and not be deterred by the negative views on Sunday trading. Take note of the points that have been made and form your own individual opinion. Sunday trading is an opportunity to modernize Cayman, give equality to all cultures and religion in Cayman, develop greater economic benefits, and allow customer convenience. These are the ideal things a law wants, and this motion creates it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? I recognize the third elected member for West Bay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to correct the sorry misconception that Adventist is a different religion. It is actually a denomination of Christianity. So, all right. So, let's speak of a hypothetical situation, say on a Sunday. On this Sunday, I am on Amazon.com, a US-based business, correct? And I buy a book, one book. That business is based in the US. That has nothing to do with Cayman. There's not one server of Amazon that is in Cayman. So therefore, another point that was made by the government on how it was illegal, I don't see any Amazon corporation in Cayman, not even an incorporated. Now, where is the proof? I've been hearing a bunch of talk about economic activity, how it will increase, but where is the proof? There is, I'm sure there is some, but I have not seen any. Have you seen any, Mr. Speaker? Okay. Back to my hypothetical situation. On that same Sunday night, I am hit. No, sorry, sir. A light bulb goes out. It's 11 o'clock at night. There's nothing that can happen. There's no business that can help me at 9 o'clock at night. They're all closed, correct? However, if that glass shatters, the emergency services can help me because they are open. They're available 24/7 and 365 days a year. Now, also, there's no guarantee that with regulations gone on Sunday trading, revenues will increase. I've said that before. And there's also a point on being more religiously tolerant. Well, if we're going to be more religiously tolerant, then why don't we just close down Saturday as well? Or, in fact, how about Friday afternoon for members of the Jewish community? Why don't we do that? Now, also on another point, Israel, which is actually a Jewish state, does close on their Sabbath. And they are quite a modern society. So the government's point on modernizing Cayman, I can see Israel as an extremely modern society, as has been noted as one of the Silicon Valleys of the Middle East. Now, modernizing is a very large word to use for such a small aspect as Sunday trading. And tourism continues to grow because tourists don't care. They just need to go to the beach, correct? Now, in the situation of the UK suspending all trading laws, the UK has 53 million people. And they have also way better retail industry than Cayman does. So that's another point. But I don't quite think the government is in touch with their own people, Mr. Speaker. Sunday as a free day is a part of Cayman's heritage and culture. Our heritage and culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? Does any other member wish to speak? If no other member wishes to speak, I will ask the fourth elected member for West Bay to exercise her right of reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to exercise my right of reply to the opposing points made by my fellow colleagues. Mr. Speaker, as my fellow colleague, fourth elected member of Northside stated, Sunday should remain as a day for our Christian values. The Cayman Islands is filled with various religions, which, as I mentioned before, which is religious inequality. Mr. Speaker, as my colleague also stated, there are no complaints. This is a false statement. There are complaints by people who find themselves restricted on a Sunday by the government and find that because they are a minority, they must suffer. This is not fair government, but a biased one. They are one blinded by more forceful religious activists. As my other fellow colleague stated, the 5th elected member of Georgetown, something about pharmacies being opened on a Sunday. Mr. Speaker, in the Sunday trading law itself, it states, premises not subject to the Sunday trading law 2003 revision, number 1, druggist shops and dispensaries in relation to the medical stores only. Pharmacies are already open on Sundays. Obviously, my colleague needs to read the law. Finally, my other colleague, Deputy Leader, also stated that only 6 days is devoted to work. As legislators, we do not keep normal office hours. We work for the people 7 days of the week. So her point has no effect on the government as they work 7 days a week. Mr. Speaker, statistically, in the UK, after the Olympic businesses did ignore the UK law and remained open, they refused to be open while cannot show facts due to such a recent time. Companies will not stay open unless they are prosperity. For example, Target closed down in Canada after 6 months because of lack of profits. The stats are already there, Mr. Speaker. I hope that these points help clarify and rectify your decision-making tactic on this notion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question is, be it now therefore resolved that the government considers amending the Sunday Trading Law 2003 revision to allow persons to acquire a Sunday trading license which would authorize trade and business on Sundays. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no? No. Private members motion number 1 of 2015, amendment to the Sunday trading law, has passed.
Mr. Speaker, may I have a division, please? Thank you very much.
Madam Clerk, please take the division.
Honorable Lashante Missick.
Aye.
Honorable Grace Grant. Honorable Gabriela Castillo.
Aye.
Honorable Colin Studenhoff.
Aye.
Honorable Matthew Wells.
Aye.
Honorable Jerome Bailey.
No.
Honorable Marika Scotland.
Aye.
Miss Aquina Ebanks.
Aye.
Mr. Kent Green.
No.
Miss Michaela Cupid.
Aye.
Mr. Andre Mena Hebert.
Aye.
Honorable Shaquille Henry.
No.
Miss Bianca Tibbetts.
No.
Mr. Jared McGill.
No.
Mr. Bryce Ebanks.
No.
Mr. Kevin Redding.
No.
Mr. Daniel Nicholson Gardner.
No.
Miss Danielle Williams.
No.
The results of the division is 9 ayes, and 9 noes. Private member's motion number 1 has failed. The House will suspend its proceedings for an hour for lunch. I ask all members to return to the chamber promptly after 1:05 p.m. Thank you.